come and sing along with us. We are the world that's forgotten.
I think it's important to be a part of change that we want to see. I speak up a lot about issues impacting Indigenous people, specifically Indigenous women.
We are the nation of tomorrow.
When I look into my community's faces and I see the hurt that still exists and I see the lack of understanding coming back at us, I want to be a part of that education and that dialogue.
Nobody knows where we've been or where we go.
My goal is to start conversation that we can be a part of and that can leave people feeling empowered and strong and like they're in a healthy relationship on both sides.
My friend, we realize no matter the love, there's just no room for compromise.
Change starts is when we start hearing each other and participating together. And so by writing songs that address these issues, because if we don't acknowledge the past, there's no way we can move into the future.
Stories can take me anywhere, and I couldn't live without it. I took a field trip with my class to a place called the Hopewell Rocks, and it was amazing. I imagined what would happen if two girls were to go in a place like that and to get lost. And maybe they would discover a magic world in there. And that was the basis for my first book, Caligari Cliffs. Stories, they don't care about who you are. They don't care about how your day is. They're always welcoming you into their words and their worlds. And I figured if I can make other people feel that way, I wanted to do that. And this is my second, Sisters of Serena. You guys want me to read from it a little bit? Yeah? The birds were soaring above, and the bushes were shivering with them. The two girls sang and danced in that wild manner, joining the forest and everything in it. I've spoken to kids my age about why I love reading and writing. I like to think I've offered a different perspective to the students who I come and visit. Because for one, I'm showing them that you can do anything even if you're young. And I think if we learn to come closer together to tell our stories for who we are, then we can really connect and work towards a better future.
I'm just taking this gentle makeup remover, so I'm just gonna go ahead and wipe the makeup off. Makeup artistry has always been a passion of mine. It was almost a way of escapism at times too. We all experience different instabilities and different things that kind of add trauma to our lives, so it was one of the ways that I would cope and would make me feel good. So, I mean, if someone has a nice full brow, it's just emphasizing what you have already. Working with Indigenous youth and women about, I would say when I was 12. So we go to community and we talk with people and we kind of help uplift them and see what, kinds of things they're struggling with and just try to be there as a support system. You are beautiful and you don't have to have like a ton of makeup. Like you can have fun with it and just play with it. That's like one of the best ways to just approach everything. It means a lot to me that I can use makeup artistry as a tool to connect with Indigenous youth and women, but also help them feel really good and feel beautiful about who they are on the inside and the outside. I do feel this path has chosen me. I'm just happy to be that vessel of helping someone feel good.
I have Down syndrome, and it's the least interesting thing about me. Down syndrome doesn't define me, and Down syndrome rocks. I think I'm amazing because I am smart, energetic, out there, happy, sassy. I love to sing and dance, and I love to act. But I just go for my dreams, and I just do it. I want people to be inspired by me. We're all unique in our different ways. I want people to believe in themselves, like my family taught me. I want everyone to achieve their goals and dreams and to always love themselves. You might think there's a good way to say it, but there isn't. Words matter, and there's no good way to say retarded.
Hey, Ricky.
Hey, Coach. Nice of you to show up.
You be nice, Ricky, because I decide who makes the team.
I'm a fencer. Should we get started? Love anybody that's around you, because love is a real big, powerful thing.
The winner of the 2018 Canadian Griffin Prize is Billy Ray Belcourt.
This book was written not to be a book. It was written to try to bring about the world that we do want collectively.
So my work is about how we might begin to imagine a world in which Indigenous flourishing is possible. I'm trying to bring to light a set of experiences that a lot of people have, a lot of Indigenous people who are also from the LGBTQ community, but a story that hasn't been brought into the Canadian public. So I think that with poetry, one can create a sort of connectivity between people that I might never meet, but nonetheless feel impacted by my writing. Pretend that this is love. Whisper, tonight we will be children. Tomorrow, the feeling of being in two bodies at once. Where do you come from? I am from the back alley of the world. Being able to cultivate this desire to live in people is one of the most politically profound things that someone can do, and I am grateful that my work can do that.
I've been engaged in Canada's political system since I was around 14. I faced a lot of sexism and racism and different forms of violence when I was more directly engaged in our political institutions. And there are a lot of young women who continue to face such barriers.
We're actually trying to bring together a bunch of candidates and train them.
I co-founded the Young Women's Leadership Network, and the work that we're trying to do is really bringing young women together to talk about our political institutions and policy issues that impact our lives, to make sure that the solutions that our leaders end up making reflect the realities of our lives as young marginalized women, to make sure that young women are not only getting engaged in our political processes, but that they're faced with situations and conditions that foster their leadership and help them thrive.
They haven't even gotten to House procedure yet. It was like, this is your office budget, this is how to be an employer.
Seeing young women see the value in their voice and finding the power in themselves to speak up and to talk about the issues they're experiencing is something that drives the work that I do, because it's so important to listen to all of these voices and to make sure that nobody is being left behind.
So in 2016, I had the amazing opportunity to travel to the Arctic. During my Arctic expedition, I saw amazing things. One thing that really stuck with me was this moment when we were at the Ilulissat Ice Fjord in Greenland. We went silent for 1 second, and we could literally hear the icebergs melting. It was a bone-chilling experience that I'll never forget, and this idea that climate change is real, it really sunk into me. So often climate change is talked about as an issue of the future, but going up to the Arctic, I realized firsthand that it's absolutely an issue that affects real people today, and the impacts that it has on Inuit mental health, on water insecurity and food insecurity in First Nations across the country. So in an effort to really understand what I could do about this, I started an organization called Break the Divide. What we do through Break the Divide is we connect these youth in these different communities across Canada so that we can foster dialogue and discussion about prominent issues in their communities. Then how do we keep that momentum going? To really break down socioeconomic, geographical, and racial barriers between different communities. I think through these different connections, we can get people aware of those issues and then drive to create change.
I developed a technology called Sun Saluter as a part of a science fair project for the Calgary Youth Science Fair when I was in high school. And the Sun Saluter technology works by implementing a very low-cost water clock.
You attach the water to one side of the solar panel, and then you're able to calibrate the water flow so that it will drip out at a very steady rate. So now the solar panel is on a swing. As the Sun Saluter swings over, then it will follow the sun.
And so I realized that this was a technology that I wanted to share with others in different parts of the world. And since we've started working on Sun Saluter, our nonprofit has actually deployed solar panels impacting 17,000 people in 19 countries around the world. I'm really proud to be Canadian. My family came over from Asia as refugees in the 80s, and Canada took them in and allowed them to create a home, a life, and a family for themselves. And so I'm grateful that I had a chance to grow up in such a place that provided me with such opportunity. I think Sun Saluter is the first step in many technologies that I'd like to be able to build one day.
I am the co-host, producer, and co-creator of Sick Boy Podcast. Where we sit down and we have a conversation with someone who is living with a chronic or terminal disease. But the catch is, it's a comedy podcast. Clapping your hands with a bionic prosthetic. I don't think it would work. Conversations that were very light and funny, but also really informative, and covering these issues that a lot of people who are dealing with illness face on a day-to-day basis. What drives me or pushes me to do what I do is the fact that I'm dying. So I live with a chronic disease called cystic fibrosis. It comes with this shortened life expectancy, which has played a huge role in my life in terms of kind of lighting a fire under my butt and propelling me to want to live my life to the absolute fullest. I don't care how he's using the arm, I want to see him punch a hole through a brick wall. The difference that we know we are making with Sick Boy Podcast is we've created this community where people who are living with illness or affected by illness don't feel alone.
6 years ago, my family and I were in India on a family trip, and I was first exposed to extreme poverty. That was a major moment for me where I realized that I had to do something to help many of the kids that I saw. So I returned to Canada, and along with my brother and 3 of our friends, we decided to start a small group. And eventually that group grew into a national nonprofit called Every Child Now that empowers kids to help other kids and provides children all around the world with their basic needs. We've engaged hundreds of children in our community and thousands of kids across the country to take up the fight for children's rights. And that means that we're helping locally and helping internationally from Nepal to West Africa to India to try and break the cycle of poverty and instead start a new cycle of progress. I hope that through my actions and through my friends' actions, we're able to inspire other kids to take up this fight. This isn't about any one person, this is about children's rights. This is about my generation stepping up and saying, it's time to do something about this. And we're not going to wait for other people to start this change is going to start with us.